As children, we were introduced to the concept of good and evil primarily with the help of superheroes and supervillains. As we watched the strong and handsome hero defeat the over-the-top pure evil villain over and over again, and get praised by people for his heroism, we aspired to be like the hero of the story. The villain was almost always a one-dimensional character who never changed and grew in his ways, and lacked depth. The villain was evil and aware of it, and in most cases enjoyed being evil.
I am completely and utterly evil. I live to be bad.
While this was amusing to the mind of a simple child, as we grew older we realized that the world around us wasn't so black and white as we thought it was. There are no heroes and villains but just humans. As much as the stories we grew up with contributed to our personality and morals, they weren't realistic. No one is as pure as Superman and no one is as evil as Darkseid. Us humans are someplace in the middle of the spectrum, making it hard for us to relate to either character. A great way to make us relate to a character is sympathy. The definition of sympathy is feelings of pity and sorrow for someone else's misfortune. This is most commonly used to make the audience relate to a hero. But what happens when instead of the hero, the villain is a sympathetic and tragic character? In that case, we get a character like Mr. Freeze.
My God. Yes, it would move me to tears if I still had tears to shed.
Victor was a genius in the field of cryogenics and lived a happy life with the love of his life, Nora Fries. Sadly, things took an unfortunate turn as Nora became terminally ill. No one could cure her disease, so Victor was forced to cryogenically freeze her until he could discover a cure for her. The corporation funding Victor's work shut down his experiments, and in the process caused a horrible accident that changed Victor's body's chemistry on an atomic level, making it impossible for him to survive above freezing temperatures. When the episode Heart of Ice of Batman the Animated Series first released, Mr. Freeze's popularity skyrocketed, making him easily one of Batman's best villains of all time. Unlike other Batman villains, Mr. Freeze wasn't a cruel psychopath. All he wanted to do is to bring his wife back. Despite his suit giving him a robotic appearance, he is ironically Batman's most human villain ever. But despite his tragic story, he is still a villain. Mr. Freeze is a metaphor for never-ending grief and pain. Because he can't move on from Nora, he traps her in the stage of unconsciousness forever, desperately trying to hold on to her memory while subjecting her to torture, because of his own selfishness. Victor's grief is the driving force of his villainy, as he commits his crimes to either prolong Nora's inevitable death, or to exact revenge against those who get in his way, which is the exact opposite of Batman's motivation, as his grief drives his need to save others. The heartbreaking fact is that despite Victor doing everything he did to save Nora, she would be terrified to witness the monster that he became. The terrifying truth about Mr. Freeze is that his actions are understandable. The audience not only sympathizes with him, but even roots for him. After all, wouldn't you do all you can to keep your loved ones alive? As much as we love Batman, most people wouldn't spare the life of the person who murdered their parents. Characters like Mr. Freeze make us question our sense of morality, and they force us to confront the darkest sides of humanity. At the end of the day, isn't that the ultimate point of a villain anyway?